Hi everyone, welcome. So this is the Foods for Hormone Balance in Perimenopause workshop. And I just quickly wanted to introduce myself for those who don't know me. So I'm a German country girl. Yeah, I'm living in Belgium now. I've been living here for the past 12 years actually. And I've been a little bit all over the place. So I love traveling and I love nature. And I've always been really passionate about using food to heal my body and really just anything natural. So I don't want anything synthetic in my body. That's kind of my, I guess, a tick I have, and probably also what brought me to this profession. So I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and a master restorative wellness practitioner. And that actually just means that I am trained and I'm using lab testing to really get to the root of my clients' health problems. And yeah, and I'm really dedicating my time to helping women, especially in midlife, balance their hormones naturally. And migraine is especially a focus. So hormonal migraines can be, of course, a symptom of hormonal imbalance, and it's what I've been struggling most of my life with. So yeah, basically that's kind of a little bit my personal thing, bringing the focus here on my clientele. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is, so I really wanted to get a little bit into what actually go through the ideal female cycle. And I'm the first one guilty of this. I mean, I think until I actually studied nutrition, I never actually I actually didn't have a clue how my cycle was working. And since I don't have kids, I mean, I didn't wasn't actively trying to get pregnant. I mean, that's when most women actually get more familiar with their cycle and kind of figuring out when's ovulation and all these things. But really, I think there's so many women who actually don't know what's going on in their cycle and how this works. So I think this is really important. So I want to go through that quickly and also look at what then happens actually once we enter perimenopause. And then I'm gonna take you to my kitchen. So we're gonna look at some focus foods for hormone balance and also how to actually incorporate this in your day to day. So you actually know how to kind of implement this as well, right? Okay, so let's have a look at the ideal female cycle or the optimal female cycle. So this is without any form of birth control or hormone replacement, looking at a 28-day cycle, and then your ovulation would be right in the middle of your cycle, right? Around day 14 usually. So what happens actually, so your cycle starts with actually the first day of your period. So the first day of your period marks the beginning of your cycle. And the first 2 weeks of your cycle are called the follicular phase. And that's because there's a follicle maturing, so the egg becoming an egg. So that's why it's called like this. And as you can see, so the first week, this is when you're on your menses, when you have your period, and you see all your hormones are pretty low. So you see here estrogen is pink and progesterone is yellow and testosterone is actually pretty stable throughout our cycle in light blue. So when we look back at the graph, you can see that so estrogen is really the dominant hormone in the first 2 weeks of your cycle. So you see that, of course, when you're still on your period in the first week, all your hormones are low, but then you can see that estrogen is actually starting to rise. So on week 2, you actually have it's getting higher and higher, and it's peaking towards ovulation, and that's kind of triggering the release of the egg, of the mature egg, and also basically the estrogen is there to help mature the egg, and that your body is choosing a mature or basically one of these follicles for ovulation. So that's basically the first important part. Without that, ovulation cannot occur. And then basically at the middle of your cycle, you're ovulating, and also your testosterone is peaking, basically giving you more appetite for sex. So that's how nature made it, that around ovulation you want to have more sex naturally, so that you can actually be fertilized, if we want to say it in scientific language. And then what you can see is that estrogen then drops, and progesterone kind of takes over. So progesterone is the hormone that's dominating the second the second phase of your cycle, called the luteal phase, and that's then typically days 15 to 28. And basically progesterone is kind of taking over here, as you say, and estrogen is dropping below the progesterone level. So, and that's really in our second phase of the cycle. So progesterone is really our Zen hormone, that kind of makes estrogen is basically the hormone that's makes us want more social, want to go out more, be with people, be more creative, have more energy actually. So that's really the first 2 weeks of our cycle, and you might notice that in your that you want to go out more, meet people more, and actually in the second phase of your cycle you feel like more going inwards and maybe not spending so much time with other people, but being more alone, or basically going more inwards and being more quiet. That's really, and progesterone is that kind of Zen hormone that makes you just feel at ease and happy. And actually for many women this is not the case, and it's often a lack of progesterone that really and that can be because you're not ovulating, because if you don't ovulate then you will not have this rise in progesterone here that will not be produced. So you can see this, I'm talking already a little bit about imbalances, although we're looking at the optimal cycle. So the thing is, what happens in perimenopause is, or once we go towards menopause, is that our ovaries actually stop producing the hormones, right? So right now in childbearing and cycling age, our ovaries are producing these 3 hormones: estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And when we go towards menopause, our ovaries will stop producing them. And that's not something that happens from one day to the other, of course. It's a natural decline that comes slowly. And for some women, it can actually be a very long process, starting anytime from 35 years on. And then going on up to their 50s. So perimenopause can actually be a very long time for some women. It can actually be 10 to 15 years long, actually. And for other women, it may actually just come up at the end of their 40s, and they will just have, all of a sudden, they will skip periods, and they have irregular cycles. And for them, it's basically a very quick transition that's happening. So everyone's different there, but basically what's happening is the first hormone that is the production of hormone that is declining is progesterone. So that's the first one that's basically ebbing off, and that's why many women in perimenopause actually get higher anxiety, more problems with PMS. You might get a shorter cycle, and yeah, and then estrogen is basically the second hormone that will decline, and that's usually really a drop of estrogen is usually what happens towards really when you're in your end 40s. That's kind of in the second phase of perimenopause. But it can happen earlier, really depending on your genetics and on your what your lifestyle used to be before. So basically everything you've been doing wrong or in your teens and the years leading up to this time will probably kind of play back. At least I see that's what's happening to me. So it's not, pointing at anyone here. It's definitely true for myself. And of course, you can't kind of go back to correcting everything you did wrong in your 20s, right? So that's kind of what you have to deal with now. And yeah. But I basically quickly wanted to show you. So this is a cycling panel that I did with one of my clients who's now 48 and who has really high anxiety and very short cycle now of 20 days. So those are, I think, her main symptoms that she's having right now. But basically what you can see here, actually surprisingly, you see here, we're looking at estradiol and progesterone only, so testosterone was not part of this test. So you can see actually, surprisingly, her estrogen is starting off pretty high. So it's actually too high for when she's on her period, and then it's getting very low, and you can actually see here there's no ovulation. You see, there's no peak in estrogen. So she's not ovulating, and she still has a little bit of rise in progesterone, but it's not high enough. And and the estrogen is kind of keeping low and going higher than the progesterone towards the end. So the thing is here, she's actually suffering from a lack of both hormones. What we see here on this test is she actually doesn't have enough of both hormones right now. So she's really also feeling this the symptoms of let me rephrase this actually. So what happens actually in this time when the progesterone drops is that we're getting estrogen dominant, and that might not that probably sounds weird to you right now, but the thing is, you can be too low in estrogen like she is here, but actually she still is estrogen dominant because the overall balance in her cycle, her estrogen is higher than her progesterone, although we actually see this small period here when it's not. But basically here you see her progesterone is very, very, very low and her estrogen is higher, and that needs to be in balance. And when it's not, we actually have symptoms of estrogen dominance, which can be what she has. Like she feels like very irritable, and she has bad PMS now, like very painful periods, these kind of things. So that it could also be other symptoms would be like hormonal acne or also hormonal migraines. Typically, with a cycle like this, she would not be surprising to actually see that you actually get a migraine here just before your period. And that's actually the migraines just before your period, just quickly, are being triggered by a sudden drop of estrogen. So we don't actually see that here, but if it would drop like or if the graph would have gone longer, or the drop would have been like then that could have been a typical graph that would indicate like a hormonal migraine. Now, I mentioned to you what happens in perimenopause, right? So I said that actually your ovaries here stop producing sex hormones. And that's like, as I said, it's not one day to the other. And then what happens after that is, so right now, actually, your brain here, your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland, they're the ones directing all the hormone function in your body. So production of thyroid hormone, of insulin, they're communicating with your ovaries to produce the sex hormones. They're also communicating with your pancreas to produce insulin, and with your adrenal glands here, those little tiny walnut-sized shaped glands above your kidneys, to produce cortisol and DHEA. So those are basically two important also hormones. You probably, we always talk about sex hormones, but insulin, cortisol are all hormones, and actually those are more important even in perimenopause, because the progesterone, basically our ovaries are producing progesterone, but the adrenal glands are also producing some. And as I said, our adrenal glands are actually producing cortisol as well. So that's our stress hormone, right? So you might have an idea what I want to get at is women have too much stress. So we're constantly busy taking care of everyone in the family and the kids and the friends and the husbands, and where we're just really, most of the women I know are taking care of everyone but themselves. And that's what they've been doing for such a long time. And, these things are stressful. So every time your body is stressed or your brain feels stressed, even if you're just, you have this, I have a problem with monkey mind, I call it. I'm just constantly thinking over stuff, and so it's tiring, right? But it's also stress on your body. So when the brain is feeling stressed, it tells the adrenal glands to produce cortisol, which is the stress hormone that's secreted to balance off the stress response. So cortisol is also produced when when you get an injury. So it's kind of an anti-inflammatory hormone, and it's it's good that your body is doing it. But when it's basically doing it all the time, then you're getting into this situation where your body actually gets fatigued at one point. And so, as I said, the adrenal glands are also producing some progesterone. And actually, once we go into menopause and our ovaries are not producing progesterone anymore, our adrenal glands are actually the only source of progesterone production in our body. So you can actually see that why a stressful lifestyle and taking care of everyone else and not yourself is really hurting your hormones and is really making you experience more of the symptoms and the PMS and the anxiety, right? So I just wanted to show that here. So I'm quickly going to skip over this. So the consequences is that the ebb of hormones really make us more prone to insulin resistance. So it means that our blood sugar is more sensitive, and we need to be even more careful with how much carbs and sugars we're eating. So you may be used to eating very healthy carbs, like maybe brown rice and potatoes and fruit, but you may actually feel that now or in the future, if it's not already applying to you, that your body's not able to deal with those carbs as well anymore. And another thing we need to do also in perimenopause is really paying extra attention to taking care of ourselves. Let's say that first. Like really, I want every woman to put herself as a priority, or if it's not the priority, just really take time to take care of your body and yourself and nourish your body, right? And part of that is also giving our liver extra love, because our liver is our main detox hormone organ, sorry. So yeah, our liver is there to detoxify all the used up hormones. It's there to manage all the extra glucose. You know, if we have too much, if we're eating a meal that's too high in carbs, our liver needs to process all that extra glucose and is storing that away in fat. So basically, and everything else, stress is also keeping our liver busy, right? So everything, all the toxins that come in, everything is keeping our liver busy. It's like the busiest hormone besides our brain, probably, organ. I'm saying hormone again. So it's one of the busiest organs we have, and it's often even the key to women who are suffering from hot flashes, or also this feeling of anger. That's often an overburdened liver. So definitely that's very important. And also, as I said, our liver is packaging up used up hormones, so it's playing a major role in our estrogen detox. And as we know, when we have this estrogen dominance, or when we're prone to it, we also need to pay extra attention that we're actually doing everything possible to support our estrogen detox, so we're not having too much of those symptoms. And then, as I said, really take care of yourselves. Avoid stress as much as possible. Get rid of people who are annoying you, who are putting stress on you. You don't need them in your life. I mean, I'm saying this, like this, but it's definitely something to consider. To just getting rid of all the extra weight that you're carrying. Also in form of people weighing you down. But really, stress management techniques, like the implementation of stress management, has helped me so much getting better. So it's really something. It's hard to do, but it's well worth it, and it's one of the main things that you can also do for feeling better through perimenopause. And then another thing is really exercising differently, because weight exercise is much more important in perimenopause and menopause, because we're prone to losing muscle and bone. So really stimulating those muscles and bones with weight-bearing exercise, it's very, very important. Yeah, and as I said, you may find changes in the skin that's from perimenopause. You may actually see that you have that your skin is less clear, or you may get like pimples or acne before your period, although you didn't used to, and that's a sign of excess estrogen, really. But then, once you go closer towards menopause or into menopause, you may actually see that your skin is getting very dry. So you need to, so more than ever, actually, it's important to eat enough fats to nourish your skin from the inside, but also you probably wanna change a little bit towards more, like moisturizers that are maybe using more oils, or something that's really nourishing your skin more than moisturizers with shea butter or things like that. Whereas probably the period before, when you're in perimenopause and you may have some even some estrogen dominance, that's really not what you want, because it will just make your skin break out, right? So yeah, basically 9 signs you're nearing menopause, and I mentioned most of them already. So the weight gain is really is one of them, and especially the around the belly. So that's kind of the estrogen dominance symptom. Cycles getting irregular, skipping cycles, shorter cycles, hormonal migraines, the mood swings. I mentioned the irritability, but maybe also depression, or like being really emotional, hot flashes, low sex drive, insomnia, and that's a big one that can really be linked to high blood sugar throughout the day. I just mentioned the skin breakout, the hormonal acne, but also a sign of is brain fog, which is again linked to the insulin resistance to the high blood sugar that will inflame your brain and basically impact your memory. But then there's also the menopausal change, really, of when your estrogen is ebbing out. There's actually many estrogen receptors in your brain, and when then your levels are declining, when you go into the transition, really, your brain needs to adjust to the lower levels, and until it has, that will also have an impact on your memory at that time. Okay, so let's go in the kitchen now and look at some foods that you can use as medicine to balance your hormones, right? So, well, actually, I will continue this first, finishing the slides, and then I will show you some things in the kitchen, okay? So you can see on the slide already, you can see some eggs, you can see salmon and sunflower seeds and flax seeds and lots of greens. So these are all really important foods for hormone balance, especially the omega-3 fatty acids here from salmon, or also other fatty fish. You definitely need the cholesterol from fatty fish and eggs. Also avocado is great. Flax seeds are really great because they also, they can actually support estrogen production, but they also contain lignans, which will help detoxify your estrogen as well. So it's really like a very great food for hormone balance. But let's maybe talk about the concept first. So what I always say to my clients is, keep it simple. And I know that I'm the first one who likes to talk about all the details. So I also want to tell you again, or maybe remind everyone that, don't get caught up in like all these fancy recipes or these kind of things. Really, what I do at home and what I teach my clients is think in macros. So you have your healthy fats, you have your quality protein, and you have your carbs and fiber. So those are your 3 macros, right? And just think in those categories. So when you compose your meal, you want to have all the 3. In every meal and every snack, you want to have fat, fiber, and protein. And then basically always, you can have as much green vegetables as you want. You can never have too few. Eat a lot of cruciferous vegetables like the broccolis and the Brussels sprouts and the cauliflower. So those are really great to supporting your estrogen detox. And so by keeping every meal balanced with lots of healthy fat, fiber from the vegetables, and quality protein. So eating high protein is definitely helping you keep fuller longer and also keeping your blood sugar stable. So that's really the key to having a balanced energy throughout the day. So not having that energy slump, in the early afternoon, or having to snack every 2 hours. So basically you're keeping your energy levels and your blood sugar stable. But it's also going to help it's going to help you with a better mood, and it's helping you sleep better at night. And it's really basically the base for happy hormones, right? So, and for your body, for hormone production, it needs cholesterol and amino acids from protein, but also other nutrients like minerals like zinc and magnesium, selenium. Then iron is also important, but iodine is actually also important for your thyroid hormone production. And then you need vitamin D and E as well. So let's look at some foods that you can focus on to balance your hormones. So I already mentioned the cruciferous vegetables. I already mentioned, the seaweed, the green vegetables. Basically, eat all the salads and all the green vegetables that you want. Avocado is a really healthy fat. Then oysters, for those who like them. Oysters are really high in zinc and also high in protein, so it's a really great food for those who enjoy them. Then garlic and onions and also the crucifers are foods that are high in sulfur that are really important for your liver, and the green vegetables as well. So your liver also likes anything that's and now I'm having brain fog. So your liver likes anything that's bitter. So things like arugula, for instance, is like a bitter green that's really great for the liver. But also dandelion, and then I mentioned here milk thistle. That's a great herb to support our liver and also gallbladder health. So and dandelion is here. And then, as I said, really the eggs and other high cholesterol and omega-3 fatty acids from sardines and salmon or mackerel, for instance. Then, so you probably know the avocado. So you want to have a mix, right, of unsaturated fats from avocado or olive oil, or also from flax seeds. I mentioned them already, before. But then you also want to have healthy saturated fats from butter or ghee, which is clarified butter that's dairy-free, or coconut milk or coconut butter or coconut pure. So that's a really great source of fatty acids. That's important. Then bone broth are really high in minerals and also really nourishing for your gut lining. So bone broth is a really great food. You probably don't always have it, but basically what I use daily is collagen powder, which is the easy bone broth. And it's also great for keeping your skin elasticity high, and for basically if you're using all the 3 types of collagen, you will have it will support your muscle mass, and it will support your skin elasticity and your joints as well. Then I have put here seaweed for iodine for your thyroid, and some foods that are very high in vitamin C to nourish your adrenal glands, like lemon zest and parsley. What else? Bee pollen is a really great food as well for, boosting your energy and supporting your immune system. Camu camu is a berry, very high in vitamin C. So if you're buying vitamin C supplements, they are often derived from camu camu berry or from acerola berry. So it's not a berry that you could buy like this, but you will find it more in the form of supplement actually. And then you have hemp seeds also that your body can convert into omega-3 fatty acids. That's a really great source of fatty acids too. You have sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds. They're high in magnesium. Other nuts and seeds are all high in magnesium as well. And you have maca root that's high in iron and also in magnesium. So maca root is actually, that's this little root vegetable that you see here. It's kind of yeah, it does have a little bit of a cinnamon or probably earthy Swedish kind of taste. So I find it really pleasant, and I like to put it in a chia pudding or something. So I do have a recipe for that on my website that I'm happy to share if anyone's interested. Yeah, so basically those are some focus foods really for hormone balance that I recommend everyone incorporate in their diet as much as possible. Yeah. And that was everything from the presentation side. So now I'm going to take you to my kitchen and actually show you some of these foods and also how I kind of organize my kitchen. Okay, so now I'm taking you for the second part of my workshop into my kitchen, and I'm actually using my phone because I wanted you to better show you actually what I'm having here. So I was talking about the macros, right? And I said think in macros. So prepare your vegetables. Prepare basically throw in a roughly chopped cabbage and roast that in the oven. Throw in some root veggies on a tray and roast that at the same time. You could also put in some cauliflower or broccolis or whatever veggies you have. Just roughly chop them up or use frozen and throw them on a tray. Sprinkle some olive oil and some sea salt and then just roast them at low temperature in the oven. So that really gives you like a bunch of vegetables that you have and that you can use to complete your meals. Then also what I do is I pre-wash my salad and then I keep it in a box. So I have 2 boxes of washed salad like this. So I just basically take it out in the morning and for lunch to make my lunch or when I prepare everything in the morning. So it's basically having everything ready in the fridge and just taking things out and composing your plate really as you need. So also what I usually do every week is now it's almost gone already, but I do roast a chicken in the oven. So, roasting a whole chicken, you can throw that in at the same time when you're roasting all your vegetables. That gives you like, some really great protein. And it's a lot. So, it's for a full family, or you can basically, if you're not so many, you can just eat from it. What I do is basically I eat from it almost the whole week or over several days. So some other things. So I also do that with, so this is a rest of fennel, spring onions and tomatoes that I roasted, and a rest of frozen, they were frozen organic green beans that I just basically cooked with some ghee in a pan. And then, I use a whole bag of green beans, and then I eat them over several days. So these things, they keep for a couple of days easily in the fridge, so you can just compose your meal. So, you have salad for lunch, and you have green beans and fennel, or roasted cabbage for dinner, and you have some roasted chicken with it, or you can just quickly fry some white fish, even buy some frozen ones. So what I usually also do is, and I actually forgot to take that out, is I make a salad dressing on Sunday. Or Saturday is basically my cooking day, where I prepare all these things. Then I make a salad dressing, and I keep that in the fridge over the week. I usually make like a pesto, so this looks a little bit, it doesn't look so appetizing. I confess, but it tastes really good. So I made this with cashew nuts and basil, just lots of basil, and I think I put in also some chives instead of garlic, lemon juice, sea salt, olive oil, and cashews, and I think that's it. So these are some great ways to to make your vegetables not as boring, to have some dips and things that you can use for to making them taste a little bit nicer, or to add some taste. Also actually eat this with the chicken breast, so that's really nice. Avocado, of course, is great, but I like to have different choices. So I usually also, I don't know if you can see this very well, I do grind some flax seeds. So I use flax seeds either in baking or to make seed breads, or I also make like I would put it in like a shea pudding or something like that. So that's some great way to use flax seeds. And I was talking about the maca, so I buy this one on Amazon. So you can also buy it in capsules. So as I said, I do like the taste, so I like to put it in shea pudding, or also when I bake, because I think it adds a nice taste. And also, I used to be a coffee drinker until actually my body didn't like the coffee so much anymore. So I do still enjoy coffee, and I do drink decaf, which seems to be better for me. But what I drink it now in the morning is actually matcha, and this one is really, really nice. So I make my own nut milk, and I have I put some matcha in it, and I just use this hand blender, so it gets really frothy and smoothie, nice. So that's how I make my matcha, and that's what I drink in the morning now. And yeah, so that's basically kind of showing you a little bit the systems thinking, in not basically cooking a meal or a recipe each day, but kind of thinking ahead. And maybe also what I like to do is, and this is actually already in the fridge, but my hubby doesn't actually like vegetables a lot, and I don't know if this is now visible. So what I do is I actually buy frozen ratatouille, and I found a really nice one at Deleuze. So no, sorry, this is actually, I can't show you this anymore. So I basically will cook, I will throw in this frozen grilled vegetables, it's only olive oil and vegetables, so there's no added sugar, or any of the sunflower or the other inflammatory oils. So I will throw that in, and basically I will add in a bunch of canned tomatoes or Tetra Pak tomato sauce, and I will add in some spices, and then I will blend it up so that the veggies are not visible anymore, and then it's ta-da! It's bolognese for my partner who doesn't like to know he's eating vegetables. So that's a good thing that you can do for kids as well. Basically making like a stew, like cooking all kinds of vegetables, just blend them up and make them like a sauce for, and you can put lentils. So, you can make a bolognese with lentils also to make a vegetarian version. Or you can use chickpeas or beans as well, so that works well. And and basically you can use this as a sauce which has a lot of vegetables, but they will not be visible, and like you don't have to like chew on them. So it's often also a problem of texture that people actually don't like. So and I'm actually now seeing in the bag, I was talking about collagen. Before. So this is the collagen powder that I'm using, and you can see it has type 1, 2, and 3 collagen. So this is the one that's actually good for your muscles and for your skin and for your joints. So and collagen is also really high in protein, so it's a good way for anyone who has problems eating a lot of protein. So that's easy to digest, and it's a good way to kind of pimp up like a shea pudding or a smoothie or something like that. So I hope this was helpful, and please give me some feedback if you found this helpful, or if you want to hear anything else, more of this or something different. I'd love to hear your feedback.